Hey everybody. Today is Tuesday the 5th of August and this is the first time that I've really had a chance to sit down this week and do anything towards this week's video because I have been working the past 4 days. I've done 3 days at my part-time job, just my regular everyday normal job, and then yesterday I did a whole day fitting for an upcoming shoot that I'm going to do soon. So I was very busy. I got up at 5 a.m. yesterday to travel. The most important thing that is happening today is I'm actually going to have an x-ray done of my hips. And this was surprisingly easy to get, actually. I was anticipating waiting months to get a referral and then an appointment, as has been the case in previous times. So I was able to go to my GP appointment last week, which was exactly a week ago, and the referral got put through, and then I had a phone number to call to book, and I did that on Friday, and she said we could fit you in on Monday. Obviously I was busy, so I had to say no, and but they booked me in for today. So this is all happening a lot sooner than I anticipated, which is good news. Like I said, I've been working a lot, so I haven't had a lot of opportunity to do much, but I did go back to the gym for the first time in a month. And I think last month I only went once, which is pretty bad. I am sore still from the gym. I just did legs and glutes and stuff, because although I am aware that I have issues with my hips, the worst thing I can do is actually stop moving. However, I will say that I have not used them as much yesterday. I was sat driving and then I was sat waiting and I didn't really do anything active, so actually my hips feel pretty good. But all the days that I was working before and I was active, cycling to work and working on my feet and going to the gym and whatever I'm doing at home, it made them pretty sore. So while it is sort of generally accepted that use it or lose it, when I use them, they do end up feeling sore and tired. But I saw the other day on a subreddit, and I've heard this before, motion is lotion, which I understood. That's the whole thing that I've just been talking about. Use it or lose it. You have to keep the joints moving. And then a little bit that was added on to that was, and strength is support, which I also kind of knew, but I'd never seen them put side by side like that before. Motion is lotion and strength is support. So I was like, okay, I can do that. I can use the joints gently, and I can also strengthen the surrounding muscles and whatever, while I'm kind of waiting to figure out exactly what's going on. I'm also experimenting with emotional stuff, specifically because my pain got a lot worse after I'd had Eden, and that the last few weeks of her pregnancy was very, very stressful. And because I ended up going down a route that I was ultimately trying to avoid, I think left me with some emotional scars which are still there. And it probably goes way back to childhood. Feelings of being broken or abnormal and not being able to do things that everyone else can do, which is more or less never been the case. As I said, I'm on my way today to go and get an x-ray. And fortunately, I actually have an x-ray from about 10 or 12 years ago. So welcome to my hips, circa a decade ago. And there's not much to say, except for the fact that I have bilateral acetabular dysplasia, which basically means I have hip dysplasia, which basically means my hip sockets are not very deep, and my femur, so the top of my thigh bone, does not actually sit very well in the sockets. And lots of people who have hip dysplasia will be asymptomatic completely and they won't know that they've got it, and other people will develop problems with the hip as they get older and they use the hips more. Funny thing is that I had these x-rays done a long time ago, but I didn't actually see the report or the films until about 2 years ago. And I didn't even know that I had hip dysplasia until that point, because they never sent me the report and they never told me anything about my x-rays. This is a pretty poor quality image because they are it's surprisingly difficult to get copies of your own x-rays. And so this is all I have. I happen to have them because I went for a complete skeletal survey, which basically means they took a whole ton of x-rays of my entire body to try and figure out what's wrong with me. And they also did genome sequencing, and I think I've got videos from this from like years ago, and if I do, I will put them up here. I got weird things going on with my hands, my feet, the roots of my teeth. My facial structure just doesn't seem to have like developed beyond a certain point, although I have an average set size of teeth. Some of my joints are enlarged, and no one knows why. And the really interesting thing is that I wasn't born like this. This developed over time. Something happened and we don't know what. Anyway, I'm a big fat mystery, basically. Nobody knows. And that's what I was trying to figure out. So as a result of that skeletal survey, I also got imaging done of my hips. So what will be interesting to see is if a new x-ray side by side with the old one shows any progression, any degeneration. I'm kind of nervous it could be arthritis. And if it's bad, I will be getting a follow-up MRI. Not really sure how I feel about that. Like, on the one hand I want to know, and on the other hand I'm kind of scared to know, because it means it's real, it's not just in my head. So today, in terms of home improvement, I am going to focus on a few easy wins. Spoiler alert, the easy wins I had in mind never happened because life got in the way. Nothing too strenuous. Move a few things around and just finish sorting Fox's clothes, because I washed all the ones that I wasn't going to reintegrate, and now I just need to like segregate the ones that we're going to keep for different seasons and move on the ones that don't fit him anymore, because there's quite a lot that doesn't fit. So yeah, so far he's been doing really well with his limited wardrobe. It's only today he said I don't have any trousers, which wasn't true. He does have trousers, he just doesn't want to wear those ones. So yeah, let's crack on then. But first, tea. I'm done already. It was really quick. Well, today and yesterday, I was like, I'm gonna get up, I'm gonna get myself organized, I'm gonna go to the gym, I'm gonna work out, so I actually use my membership. And yesterday and today, I've woken up later than I intended, and I'm like, I'm not gonna make it to the gym in time before work to really have like an effective workout. And I don't really know what's happened, because earlier in the year I was doing quite well with this. I was getting up, not super early because my shifts are never really early, which is good for me because I'm not a morning person. But I'm so sluggish. I'm just like, ugh. And I was doing that quite regularly, maybe like at least sort of like twice a week. And then I don't really know what happened, but I just sort of stopped, and I haven't been able to get back and start doing it regularly again, which is annoying because obviously I'm paying money for the membership and I'm not using it. So I need to try and figure out a way to build it back in. I don't know, just this time of year it just feels so busy. I can't do it. I'm getting up too late, I'm not motivated. Well, I am motivated, but I just feel like a slug in the mornings. And I know that like I'm busy, I've got kids, I'm a mom, you know, but I need to try and take care of myself, especially now I'm in my mid-30s. That's why I was toying with not having a membership anymore, because I'm not going. But then I feel like I wouldn't do it at all. But then if I'm not going, I'm not working out. So it kind of doesn't matter if I have a membership or not. Either way, I'm not working out. So I've come up with the next best thing, which is to do a few reps of something in the garage with the weights that John has. They're probably a little bit heavy, but they're not impossible. But I really struggle with my grip strength, which is a feature of myotonic dystrophy. So I often struggle to hold on to the weights. If I end up doing more weights at home, or even any weights at all, I think I'd probably have to get some straps or some gloves to just help, because it's a limiting factor right now. Something I did this week was I picked up some high strength turmeric. Apparently it really helps with joint pain and inflammation, so I figured why not give it a go. Hi everyone, I thought I would talk to you while I am doing some washing up, and actually I should just put my microphone on, I think, because I think that'll really help. Okay. This week I don't have any washing up gloves, so I'm using blue gloves. This is really the only chance I'm going to get to sort of record anything. Leo? Nope, baby's crying. So last night I did a whole video explaining what my x-ray showed, and honestly I like some of the footage that I did, but actually I don't think I was in really a good frame of mind, and so I'm not going to use that. Today, having had a good night's sleep and just a little bit more time to sort of process things, I have come to a few conclusions, I guess, or just, I'm framing it better in my mind. So basically, I haven't had a follow-up appointment yet, but I got a text from the hospital saying that my x-ray showed some arthritic changes in my hips, and that I need to follow up with a GP to sort of talk about, I assume, like, treatment and sort of how to manage going forward. They also recommended that I do physiotherapy, which I have done before very briefly. Although the physiotherapist that I was matched with, I didn't actually like him very much. He made some big generalizations about me, about the way that my joints look because they're enlarged. They sometimes look rheumatic. Yeah, like rheumatoid arthritis. I don't have rheumatoid arthritis. That's just how my joints are, and I kind of wish I'd said that to him at the time, because my feet are very similar. And he was like, oh, you have rheumatoid arthritis, you should go to your GP and get a referral for that. And I'm like, you've just never met anyone like me. As I said, I'm a big fat mystery. Nobody really knows. He also asked me for advice during my appointment because he saw where I work. And he wanted to know, which is so unprofessional. So I never went back. So yeah, they're recommending physiotherapy, and which I'm happy to do, if that helps, but I obviously need to have a bit more of a follow-up with my GP just to sort of discuss the results a bit more in depth. I'm hoping I'm going to get that opportunity. I might get a report about it there's this app called My Medical Record, which you can sign up to in the UK, and you can see all of your documentation, your lab results, your appointments, everything. So it might come through to me that way sooner than it would by post, if it comes by post at all. Where I was at yesterday, I was kind of spiraling a lot with my, just the sort of mental health side of it, because obviously it's not nice to have a diagnosis like that, especially when you're only 35. But when I was 23, I got the diagnosis of myotonic dystrophy, which was similar. Hold up. it feels the same in so much as it's like, you know, it's not a diagnosis you want. Nobody really wants a diagnosis like that of any kind, especially when you know there's no cure and it's likely to progress and get worse. Oh no. Hey, should we change your nappy in a minute? Yeah, have some lunch? Have something to eat? No, you're just sleepy grumpy right now. Oh, baby. Yeah. I guess just to finish this off, if Eden will let me. Oh no. Last night I was kind of in a frame of mind where I was thinking, like, what does this mean for my long-term health? How is it going to get worse? You know, kind of just spiraling a bit, thinking like, will I ever get my mobility back? Am I always going to be in pain forever? Is the pain going to get worse? Today I've kind of been thinking a little bit more in the present. Like right now, I still lead a very active life. I still do a lot of stuff and many things are accessible to me. I don't take any painkillers routinely for it. I just manage my activity and I modify accordingly. There are still lots of things that I can do, and so I need to keep doing those for as long as I can and preserve what I've got. That is the way that I need to be thinking about this. I don't need to be thinking about, like, but what if it gets worse? It's like, but it's not worse right now. Right now, it's actually, like, it's not great, but neither is it awful, and there's so much that's available to me still. So, you know, but it's natural. It's natural and normal to have these reactions and to have these emotions, and you just have to sort of let them flow through you and understand that they will leave and you won't feel like this forever. So, I'm not going to do analytics this week. It hasn't been working for me, the Canva thing that I was trying to use. But in general, I'm still really pleased that things are green, going up, and I'm hoping that I can do some shorts content as well, because I think that would really help with my general goals towards being a full-time content creator, which is not something that I ever thought I would want to be, but that is kind of what I'm trying to be, although I don't like that title. Because I think it kind of makes me sound like I'm trying to be an influencer, and I'm not trying to be an influencer. I'm just trying to live a better life in the long term, and I want to create a better life for me and my children, and I want to get out of retail. That's really all there is to it, and this is the most viable thing I have. So if you have been watching this far, thank you so much, and I will be back next week with another update.